Good afternoon, everybody. This is the time and the place for the Grand Forks Growth Fund. We'll start with roll call, please.
Berg. Here. Crary.
Here.
Friedals. Here. Holth.
Here.
Ozowski.
Here.
Whitney.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from June 17th, 2024.
I move approval.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Crary. Any comments or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the election of the chair and vice chair. Mr. Gosted, some comments on this?
I do. There is, the city ordinance is 240108, subsection 3A, provides that there is to be an election of a chairperson and vice chairperson, and it shall be conducted annually and shall be held at the next meeting of the Growth Fund Committee following the election of the Growth Fund Board of Directors under 240106, and that's basically the election. As I understand, this is the first meeting of the Growth Fund Committee since the election. So it's mandatory, the way the ordinance sets up. The use of the word shall it's not may, it's shall. And those that are eligible to be the chairperson are only 3 members of the city council that are on the Growth Fund Committee. Anybody, once you have the chairperson elected, then the vice chair is elected, and anybody is eligible. All 7 members of the committee are eligible to serve as vice chair.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Gosted on that? Okay. Hearing none. Are there any nominations or motions?
So, Mr. Gosted, is there any feedback or so if there's numerous qualified candidates or whatever, and if we wanted as a growth fund to get feedback from the JDA or additional information or anything like that, there's no process to go about that?
The ordinance doesn't provide any process like that. I suppose leading up to today's date, that could have been sought out. Maybe some advice from the JDA member, which are the city council and the mayor. But there isn't any process with respect to seeking that type of information out under the. All I'm viewing is procedurally, it's the first committee meeting after basically the election. Is when this is to be conducted.
Okay, and if no nominations are made, we sit here in perpetuity, basically?
I would hope that wouldn't happen.
Well, same. I'm
Make
just
the motion.
Okay.
The ordinance is, again, it uses the word shall.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Okay. The floor is open for nominations.
Well, I'll put forward a nomination that Mr. Friedhoffs be chair and Mr. Holth be vice chair.
One at a time.
One at a time, sorry. We'll just do the chair, and I nominate Mr. Friedhoffs.
Okay, we have a nomination on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Ms. Berg. Okay. Further discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes with Ms. Osowski dissenting. Okay.
Mr. Friedhoff should now
Oh, yeah.
take over for the vice chair. You should open it up for a motion.
Open it up for a motion for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Jonathan.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Dissenting? Motion passes with Jonathan Holth as vice chair. All right. So let's see. So this is my first time doing this. So number 4, EDA, RLF, and PACE loan requests, Red River Potatoes.
Thank you, Chairman Friedhoffs, members of the Growth Fund Committee. Kevin Hatcher, Business Development Manager at Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation, speaking on behalf of this EDA Revolving Loan Fund and PACE request for Red River Potatoes. It's my pleasure to have Mr. Jack Wiegand here available, who will later on I'll invite up to speak on behalf of the company a little bit. But first, I'm going to provide a little bit of the background of the company along with the project details for this EDRLF and PACE. So for those of you who do not know about Red River Potatoes, the parent company is Mesa Verde Trading Company based out of California, and they oversee numerous companies throughout the United States as a value-added agriculture company for food drying, processing operations such as grinding the food pet food ingredients and drying such as carrots, blueberries, broccoli, tomato paste, and in this instance, potatoes. This isn't the only potato location. They do also have some other locations in the United States as well. Established in Grand Forks back in 2021 on 2250 Mill Road, starting that additional potato drying facility. What they do is they accumulate local cold potatoes, potato products that can't get in the human waste stream, and they do that grind up and drying process for the pet food ingredients to distribute it nationally throughout the United States here. For this project particularly, they're looking to purchase equipment to expand their capacity, increase efficiency due to a new recent contract within the facility. The way that we have it structured here is through this EDA, RLF, and PACE. The total project about $3.54 million. They're going to achieve a 7.5% of equity portion, as you see there, of the $270,000. What's attractive about having it here, this expansion opportunity compared to the United States, is utilizing this EDA revolving loan program, where we can fill in a gap for an additional 7.5%, $270,000 that's structured there. As you can see, the $270,000 EDA revolving loan at an estimated rate of 4.5% for a 5-year term here. So that would be the request for EDA revolving loan fund. Additionally, we're stacking the PACE program with the lead lender of Bank of the Sierra to purchase the equipment. The way they have it structured is an interest rate from 8.5%. We're looking to buy it down to 3.5%, and that's on a $3 million note from Bank of the Sierra. The request that we're asking additionally through that $270,000 is a growth fund PACE subsidy of $151,343, and that's going to leverage Bank of North Dakota's grant portion of PACE of $281,065. This PACE request is going to be deferred for 84 months, and then it's going to be followed with 12 equal monthly installments. And then the security behind this is a corporate guarantee from the parent company, Mesa Verde Trading Company, and also Red River Potatoes, the operating company in Grand Forks. Subordinate blanket UCC equipment lead on the equipment that's being purchased, along with personal guarantees of the owners of the company, Mr. Jack Wiegand, Dwight Wiegand as well. So, and I I think this is a great opportunity to invite Mr. Wiegand up to speak on behalf of the company a little bit about his project here.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board, for having me here this afternoon. This is not the first time I've been in front of you guys. I think I was here a few years ago. The chambers were a little bit different, so congratulations on the new space. It's a beautiful one. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Jack Wiegand. I'm part of a family business. Our business is called Mesa Verde Trading. As Kevin described, Mesa Verde is involved in dehydration of different food byproducts, mainly potato, but also tomato products, blueberries, carrots, things of that nature. We settled on Grand Forks here a few years ago. We came up right at the onset of COVID, realized that there was an opportunity for us to settle in this community because there was excess potato waste that wasn't being valued by anybody. It was either being land applied or it was either being fed to cattle at very minimal value. So we were able to come in, make arrangements with the potato packers, provide a value to them, and increase kind of the entire supply chain. So we work not only with fresh potato products from potato packers, but we work with processed potatoes, things like French fries, hash browns, stuff of that nature. As Kevin described, we're working on an expansion project. The last few years have been successful in North Dakota. So we've invested in additional dehydration equipment, storage equipment, all sorts of equipment. So anyways, that's kind of the request here. Happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
So just one question, when you invest in this new equipment, what do you see as how much is that going to add into the value chain for the
Yeah.
supply chain of, what's the economic impact of that?
Sure.
How much you're going to be able to produce extra, put into the supply chain? What are those
Yeah,
numbers,
great question.
projections look like?
Yeah, should have talked about that a little bit. By expanding our production, we're going to be increasing our throughput by a factor of 3x. So right now, we're able to process around 15,000 pounds of potato waste an hour. We're going to be able to increase that to 35,000. And there's enough of a supply chain out there to where we anticipate we'll be able to run the same amount of hours, but just produce 3 times the amount of product. We've done some studies on exactly how much economic benefit that brings to the local area. And between the direct payments to vendors as well as the payments to supporting businesses, i.e. trucking companies or people like that, we estimate that the annual benefit to the community will be around $3 million. Then you couple that with the excess that we'll be spending on natural gas, electricity, things of that. I think we've estimated the annual benefit to be closer to around $4.5 million.
Thank you.
Yep.
What do you long-term vision see as your capacity? So obviously, well, maybe let me take a quick step back. First of all, great to see you again. I mean, I think this is exactly the reason we have a growth fund, is to set up programs like this for, even out of state, come in, you see Grand Forks is great. Obviously, business is going well. You want to invest more. Great. Where do you see it actually going to long term? I mean, do you see capacity being able, things keep going well, that you could double, triple, or you think you're reaching that max potato waste, or what?
Yeah, no. Well, I'd like to think that a triple in expansion is a good start, but I'd like to also do more than that, of course. We're a pretty aggressive business as far as trying to take market share in industry. We've been pretty successful at that over the last decade. My dad, brother, and I work diligently to try to continue to take market. As far as the 4 locations that we have across the country between Grand Forks, Colorado, Oregon, and California, we see Grand Forks as the most potential. There is an excess of potato waste. There's an excess of potato waste that we'd like to be able to capitalize on. And that's not just the immediate Grand Forks area, but it's potentially even just outside of Grand Forks. In Jamestown, there's a big potato processor. Mm-hmm. We'd consider them a viable vendor of ours as well. So right now, our goal and our target's focused on the initial investment, the $3.5 million, being able to utilize everything in the local area. But beyond this, I don't know. I guess sky's the limit.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear. And again, I really appreciate appreciate you guys investing in the region. The one question I do have that's, so I'm giving you a lot of praise, but I do have one question.
Yep.
Just, I would encourage, or I was wondering from the Bank of Sierra, totally understand business. You probably have a great relationship with that lender. Has there been any talks to have a local bank participate in that loan, or do you see any avenue to get more local financing options in place or anything like that?
As far as from an equity standpoint, no. As far as from a debt standpoint, potentially. As far as I understand, though, and I guess I should have briefed a little bit with our controller prior, but this is going to be a joint loan between the Bank of North Dakota and Bank of Sierra. Is that right? I mean, these are basically subsidized and bought down. So I guess in some way, yes, we are utilizing some North Dakota resources, financial resources, to get to that point. We don't have banking relationships in the state of North Dakota right now. Bank of Sierra is a local bank to California. We also work with another bank out there. It's sort of irrelevant, but it's called Tri-Counties. That's just as a result of where we've started the business. We, of course, are open to having banking relationships elsewhere, though.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to infringe on your guys doing your business, and you got good relationships. We all have good relationships with our lenders. Maybe I'll just encourage that when you come back for another 3X, which is a good problem to have.
Absolutely.
I encourage you guys to try to have some local lenders participate as well. I think that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Be cool.
Would be happy to. Thanks for the recommendation.
Mr. Wiegand, thank you for being here. Thanks for investing in this region. With this expansion and going from 15,000 to 35,000, just a question on there's the EDA loan here at those levels. I'm assuming because when you're still relatively new to this region, but if you get to 35,000, I'm guessing the company, the operation, the Grand Forks operation is profitable at that level?
Yes. Well, I mean, profitable today, but hoping to become more profitable, of course, at the 3X.
So anytime we borrow money I do work at a bank, so just confirming that, I thought that would be the case. And then I guess that was the only question I had for you, I guess, and I'll let anyone else ask for Mr. Wiegand, and I have a question for Mr. Hatcher. But thank you for investing in this region.
Of course. Thank you, Chris.
So, Mr. Hatcher, for just from the deal standpoint here, as I understand it, so the Wiegands are the three owners of Mesa Verde. They'll be providing personal guarantees. I'm seeing nodding, so thank you. That would be our policy. And then, and the buy down from 8.5% from a PACE. How long does that last? When does that run out to the buy down rate?
Yeah, so it's good. So based on the structure of the AM schedule, working with a tie from Bank of North Dakota, it looks like we have that deferral period about 84 months, and that's when we would start doing that 12 equal payment period afterwards.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Vote for approval.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you guys
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
So next agenda item will be the FlexPace loan request for B-Mobile Incorporated.
Thank you, Chairman Friedhoffs and members of the Growth Fund Committee. So this project is a little bit unique compared to typical clients that we have, of course, primary sector businesses. Within our strategic initiative through the Growth Fund, we do identify corporate headquarters as a great economic impact into our Grand Forks region. And historically, we have also pursued FlexPace interest rate buy down with partnership at Bank of North Dakota, such as Ironhide, A2S, Icon. for these type of flex space opportunities. So this is just another corporate headquarters opportunity here that we're going to present today. So B-Mobile, just a little bit of a background. First off, we also have Jake Miller, Chief Operating Officer here. It's a pleasure to have him here readily available. He can speak more directly on behalf of the company, along with Senior Business Advisor from Alaris Financial, John Rentz here, that can talk from a financial standpoint as well for this project. So B-Mobile, they operate 68 retail cellular phone and accessory stores throughout several different states with partnership of Verizon Communications. The operations include primarily sales of Verizon wireless phones, data plans, and cellular-related projects. With their plans to expand to a total of national 100 total locations, the company will need to expand their corporate headquarters here in Grand Forks, located on 2100 South Columbia Road. They've been here overall for about 25 years, I believe. And they're looking to double that square footage that they currently have from 4,500 square feet to 9,000 square feet. And this will include, in this project, 14 additional desk spaces, some meeting room, functional space for the employees as they're working on that expansion. Along with that national growth of 350 to 425 full-time employees, we're anticipating the corporate headquarters increasing their staff from 24 to approximately 38 FTEs in the next 24 months. So for this project in particular, we're looking at a total of $1 million. We're utilizing the FlexPay subsidy to reduce the interest rate from Alaris Financial from 7% to 3.5% on a $800,000 note. And that's as I mentioned, the expansion of that corporate headquarters facility there. What we're requesting locally through the Growth Fund is a FlexPay subsidy of $26,728, and that's going to leverage Bank of North Dakota's grant portion of $49,638. The deferral period for this loan will be for 60 months, and then it'll follow with 12 equal monthly installments. And the security, we're going to come in a subordinate position to Alaris Financial of a blanket UCC on the business assets, along with a personal guarantee from the owner, from Mr. Brady Hansen. So the request that we're asking from the Growth Fund Committee is approval of that $26,728. And I'll actually invite Mr. Miller up to speak on behalf of the company.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all. First and foremost, I've just enjoyed learning more about this. I think these guys taught me really quick how maybe ignorant I was to some of these opportunities that are available for businesses like ours to possibly, partner with the city and the Growth Fund. So, again, just thank you for the consideration, and Kevin did a great job. Over 24 years, we've always been headquartered in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Grand Forks is where we want our permanent headquarters to be as we continue to expand, again, nationally throughout the country. And a unique set of opportunities has kind of been bestowed upon us here by Verizon Wireless. Historically, we've had to grow through acquisition, and when that happens, we pick up stores really, really quickly. Well, Verizon has now decided to partner with us in an organic expansion mindset. So now we can kind of see this growth coming, and we know we're going to have to add these corporate positions, and we'd love as many of these positions as possible to be housed here in Grand Forks for some kind of work from home, satellite office, and our facility itself. The opportunity was there for us to expand and, again, double our square footage. We're going to double our desk space, mother's rooms, meetings rooms, overall just an entirely better environment, hopefully to obviously hire people who live in Grand Forks, but also, continue to recruit senior corporate leadership, and then some entry-level positions as well, create some jobs here that can, again, be housed in Grand Forks versus out of state. So got to talk with Kevin, got to talk with Keith. They got us educated really quickly on the benefits of this program, and that corporate headquarters are included. And again, we just appreciate the consideration, and hope to keep growing with you guys here.
Say, Chair, I have a conflict of interest with this, so I request to recuse myself from the discussion and the vote.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So I would make,
Mike, were you going to make that?
I was going to make a motion to allow Mr. Wolf to vote. Yep, and then we'll vote against it. Yeah. So, motion to allow Mr. Wolf to vote on this.
I second.
Just a second. Okay.
open for discussion?
And now just what you should do is just put that to what the vote is whether Mr. Wolf would be entitled to vote on this particular matter. A vote in favor would allow him to continue to participate in the vote. A vote against would not permit him to participate in the vote.
Okay. So a vote yes to vote, a vote no for Mr. Wolf to not vote.
Do you want?
And what I would do is then call for a roll call vote is the way I would do it.
Yeah. All right, we'll go through roll call.
Berg,
No.
Crary,
No.
Friedhoff,
No.
Holth,
No.
Ozowski,
No.
Whitney,
No.
Wolf.
No. Thank you.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
Motion failed.
Motion failed.
Motion failed unanimously.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for being here. It's exciting. We've talked for a long time at this board and throughout the community about the importance of trying to keep corporate headquarters here, and that being an area that we could improve on in this community. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity, and I'll move approval.
I'll second.
I have a question for the person from T-Mobile. I'm reading online that they have a class action lawsuit against them from their customers where they no longer honor their lifetime price guarantee. And so I'm just wondering, if they're willing to dishonor their customers like that, are they still willing to pay back our loans?
I would love to address this, Ms. Osowski. So we are actually, B-Mobile is the name of our entity. We are a Verizon wireless retailer, but I believe everything you just said about T-Mobile is accurate.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have one additional question, actually. So, Mr. Miller, appreciate you being here. So you're anticipating that organic growth, which is great. So the 14 new FTEs, how long do you think it's going to take to ramp up? Do you anticipate hiring within the community, or having to pull people into the community, or where do you anticipate? Because labor market's tight. So just kind of how you anticipate filling those 14 seats.
Yeah, and we've actually started immediately. So again, we're adding roughly, it's going to be about 30 locations throughout the country. 16 leases are currently signed. We have another 14 between letter of intent and lease. We've already hired 5 of those seats, so part of this will also be spreading some people out. But yeah, I would say within the next 12 months, we've added 29 unique positions, and I'll say back office, corporate type positions, not salespeople, not store leaders, anything like that, to our organizational chart, not only to help with this growth, but then this will just so much better position us for future growth and acquisition. So we kind of have joked internally, we've been ready for 100 stores for a while. This is really our preparation to get to 200 and 250. So we're going to try and have our human infrastructure intact, so then we can capitalize on, acquisition growth down the road with some of this, I'd say, cheaper growth.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Vote to approve?
Aye.
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 We'll get there. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Friedhoff, members of the committee. The annual report included in part of your the online staff report is required by code to be completed once a year. We typically, it's strange coming in August, but it follows the books being closed out from last year. I won't go through the specifics of the report. While it may be a page turner, it's going to be time consuming to go through it. So I'll just address the format. It's very similar to previous reports. There was some discussion among staff as to whether or not maybe a different format or condensed version might be more useful or user-friendly at the very least. So just bring that up to say if you have any thoughts or feedback or comments as to formatting, we're certainly all ears and happy to incorporate those into next year's annual report. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
No more questions?
Mr. Conlon, I wonder if when we think about formatting in reading this, having some kind of a summary in the report that talks about maybe timing of when loans are going to be paid back and what that looks like and what that timing might look like, so that as a growth fund, we have an understanding of, if we have X million that are committed and the paybacks start in 2030, how many do we have coming back in 2030 versus 2028 versus 2035? And trying to understand the pace of those paybacks, I think could be really visual for us as a committee to understand what that looks like. And then I also wonder if it would be interesting when we think about, even with the presentations today, creating 14 jobs, looking at Sundog Mining creating 9 jobs. Is there some kind of a summary that we could look at that has an overall picture of what we think that economic impact is in summary over a period of time? I think that might also be some interesting, so that we don't have to do the math ourselves, I guess. Because I can go through and do that math, but it'd be great to look at that in a summary format.
Mr. Chair, I think that's a good idea from Ms. Whitney and Josh from Finance is in the back there. So obviously we run pro formas on how we call it 5996 or the Jobs Development Authority, how that's going to function over the next several years. So maybe Josh could help us put together some summaries, maybe even in anticipation of if you're so inclined to approve and move this forward to the JDA, that we would include those and then share that information with you.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan. Josh, look forward to seeing that kind of report.
Yeah, I'd like to see the staff numbers for sure. I think that's an added positive there to share. It's a good news story, right? So
I'd also like to just express, just coming on first time having this history and reading through it, it was very informational to me, and I appreciate that.
So motion to approve to take this to the JDA?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further comments? Motion passes. Oh, sorry. That was
Motion to approve.
Say all in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
And dissenting? Now motion passes. Thank you. Final motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you all.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Put it to a vote.
No, but enough. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does anyone? Oh, they're super elegant.
All right, welcome everybody. We will call to order Grand Forks City Council meeting for Monday, August 19th, 2024. Roll call, please, Maureen.
Sure. Weigel.
Here.
Wasowski. Berg. Here. Lensky. Here. Friedolfs.
Here.
Sandy. Here. And Veen. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 1.3, Mayor's announcements. Just two announcements today. I just wanted to highlight the Grand City celebration last Tuesday. I guess it was 2 Tuesdays ago, August 6th. Downtown, they kind of blocked off all 3rd Street. It really was well attended. I got to walk through there. I know a couple other council members did as well, but pretty great to see the support for our police department and local law enforcement, first responders. So great to see. And then on Wednesday, I want to thank Dale Bergman for giving us a tour and the grand opening of the city's transit facility, the second phase of that. I think the real highlight was the training area, and I don't know how many people know this, but they can actually train CDL drivers on site. So if you're someone that's interested in driving a bus and doesn't have a CDL, you can go over talk to City Areas Transit, and they might be able to get you that CDL and just remove one more hurdle from employment there. So pretty exciting. Probably my highlight, though, was the car wash. They got a bus wash there. I'm a big fan of car washes, so getting to see the giant bus go through there was pretty special, and knowing that other city vehicles, large ones, will be able to utilize that as well. So thank you to Dale. That's it for Mayor's announcements. 2 is awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. There are none this evening. So that moves us to 3 public hearings and second readings of ordinances.
3.1 is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance relating to criminal violations.
Thank you. We'll open up the public hearing on item 3.1. Anyone here to speak on item 3.1, please step up. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion, and I'll put it to council for comment or motions.
Move approval.
Motion approved from Mr. Vice President Weigel, second from Ms. Berg. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
3.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance dedicating right-of-way on the replat of lots 6-12, Block B, Alexander and Ives addition, and final approval of the replat.
Thank you. Same procedure here. We'll open up the public hearing for item 3.2. Anyone here to speak on item 3.2? All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion, and I'll open it up to City Council for comment or motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved from Ms. Berg, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Move on to item 4, which is citizen comments as it relates to action items. Any comments this evening related to action items?
I have 4 for action items. First, George Hellier.
All right. All right, Mr. Hellier, please.
Mayor Buczynski, City Council members, thank you for allowing me to speak here today. My name is George Hellier. I'm the Executive Director of the Grand Forks Park District. Also at the Grand Forks Park District here today, we have Board President Tim Skarprud, Park Commissioner Russell Kraft, and also members of our management team. I'm strongly opposed a study to be performed to merge entities. I feel like it's an inefficient use of taxpayer dollars and an inefficient use of the staff resource time in order to conduct the actual study, especially with the Altru Sports Complex coming online. I want the mayor and the city council to know that this is a monumental change and potential project that is being discussed. The Park District has 65 full-time professional employees and over 600 part-time employees that we employ on an annual basis. The Park District has a forestry department, parks department, golf courses, Choice Health Fitness, recreation programs, free community events, ball fields, ice arenas, and also a foundation. And the foundation is used primarily for funding, fundraising for capital campaigns and youth scholarships. And those capital campaigns have been very successful with the Park District over the years. Those have included Choice Health Fitness, Icon Sports Center, Shield Sports Complex, Northern Valley Law Enforcement Memorial, Veterans Memorial Park. We feel like the current process is working. Park District has been in operation since 1905 under the current structure. All cities in North Dakota, over 3,000 people, have the same structure that we currently do. So that means Fargo, Bismarck, all the way down to Devils Lake and Grafton have the same exact structure that the Grand Forks Park District does. Public feedback is important. We conducted a statistically valid survey in 2022. 98% of those respondents said that they attended a Park District facility or a park. So there was a high level of satisfaction amongst those participants. So our thoughts are, if it's not broke, why are we trying to fix it? The best government is local government. The Park District has a separate dedicated tax levy that focuses exclusively on parks and recreation. We have a separate elected board that focuses exclusively on parks and recreation. If the Park District became a department under the city, we feel like that would lose that focus on parks and recreation. It would dilute that process because we would be one department amongst many within the city focusing on those resources that are needed. Competing resources with other city departments, we feel over time that maintenance and services would be decreased, and that would affect our user groups and citizens of Grand Forks. In addition, the loss of donations would be a potential. I mentioned the foundation and all the fundraising that's done. The fear would be that a donor wouldn't want to donate for a capital campaign because the Park District would just be a small cog in the city's process. So what are the reasons for a change? There's been comments about taxpayer savings. There's been comments about redundancy, mowing, accountants, administration, comments about potentially millions of dollars of savings. The Park District budget is only $20 million. Our parks and operation maintenance budget is only $1.5 million. Park District staff are currently being fully utilized, and I'm assuming that city staff is also at capacity. Park District and city staff work together all the time finding efficiencies. We do that for storms, we do it through greenway maintenance, we do it through landfill tickets, and I don't see that process discontinuing going forward. Because you have adjacent properties with another entity being mowed or snow removal, that doesn't mean a redundancy. I think the biggest factor is how many man hours it does to take a job, to get a job done. So that's true whether you're mowing, that's whether it's true whether you have administration, that's true if you have accountants. It comes down to a project and trying to get that project completed, how many man hours it's going to do. So whether it's out of the city's pocket or the Park District pocket, at the end of the day, it's still how many man hours it takes to get the job done. So in conclusion, I strongly oppose a study to be performed to merge the entities. If we're trying to save taxpayers' money, which I'm all for, there are other steps besides paying a consultant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hellier.
Tony Bina.
Mr. Bina, please.
Mayor Berchenski, good to see you. City Council women, thank you for having me up here. Just want to talk real quickly about this being proposed. I'm a high school athletic director. I'm a Grand Forks Youth Baseball Tournament director, and I'm also a Grand Forks Blue Line Club president, in which we work closely with the Park District to provide funding for many facilities in Grand Forks, from hockey rinks to baseball facilities to a lot of other facilities that we donate money to. The important piece is our relationship that we have with the Park District, and we work closely with them. Wes Colborn sits on our board, so we have direct communication on how these facilities are going to be planned out, how we're going to upgrade these facilities to provide the best opportunities for our youth in Grand Forks. Without that relationship, it would make it very, very difficult. You know, you look at the Craft Field project that just went up. That was a pretty good upgrade to our baseball community. The 6 hockey rinks that we have in town has been a great upgrade. The recent one, the Pocket Tennis Complex, another example of great opportunities that the Park District works to help fund and provide for our community. So my questions I have would be this. Without the Park District, who would fund these projects? Who would provide these opportunities where the Park District's purpose is to provide opportunities through Parks and Rec for Grand Forks and also for visitors that come to Grand Forks? So who would provide those opportunities? Who would manage these facilities? And then who would also have those relationships with local stakeholders to make sure things are going well. I worked 2 baseball tournaments in Grand Forks this summer that brought a lot of people from outside of Grand Forks to this community, brought money in. I had Wes Colborn, I had George Hellier, Mike Orr, all those individuals working with me to make sure everything was up to speed, everything was ready to go to put on a good tournament or a couple tournaments. And we had people leave this community very, very happy and very excited about what Grand Forks had to offer. And I heard many things about the grounds crew did a great job. The facilities are awesome. We don't have these facilities back home in Colorado, Missouri, locations like that. So without the Park District, how would those opportunities be provided for not just our own people in our community, but also people outside? So those are questions I have that I'd like to hear answered. And I'd say this is the relationship we've had has been outstanding, and they do what they can to make sure they provide the opportunities here for us in Grand Forks. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bina.
Jared Seaver.
Mr. Seaver, please.
Mayor, City Council, I would just like to, I didn't write anything down. This is all just going to kind of come from the heart here. The reason I'm the current president of the Grand Forks Youth Baseball, and one of our priorities is the kids of our community, trying to keep them having a good time in the summer, try to keep them off the streets, just try to keep them busy, and hopefully do some mentoring along the way. And our relationship with the Park District has been phenomenal over the years. They've worked with us on fundraising to anything we need equipment-wise, all that stuff. And so I guess I'm just a little bit nervous with if there is a change, how that would impact the kids of our community. And I think that's what we need to really sit back and think about, is what's best for the kids of our community, you know? So I'll just leave it with that. You got other people that want to speak, so thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Seaver.
Brad Lucky.
Mr. Lucky, please.
Council members, thank you. I'll be brief. I really want to echo a lot of what they said. I'm with Grand Forks Youth Hockey. I have the opportunity to work daily with the staff at the Park District, as well as some of the board members. We bring, echoing what Tony had mentioned, I think 200 teams came here last year for tournaments, and the number of times teams come from out of town and appreciate the facilities that are in this community. Our members looking at the outdoor rinks, and I hope that as we move forward and as we look through this, that we don't reduce the attention and focus that board and staff are able to give the parks and the facilities that provide programming for our members as we move forward. So again, just echoing what was said, I'm here to support the parks and the current collaboration and coexistence of your two groups. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Lucky.
That's all that I have.
Thank you, Ms. Lundmark. That'll complete citizen comments as it relates to action items, so we'll move on to action items. And I guess I'll ask for any items that council wants pulled for further discussion this evening. Yeah, President Sandy.
512, Mayor.
512. All right, any other items? All right. With that, we'll move forward with committee recommendations then on items 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, 5.10, 5.11, 5.13, 5.14, and 5.15. If I get a motion for approval of that.
Motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion. I'll give Mr. Vice President Wago the motion and a second to Ms. Berg. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. So we'll be on to 5.12, Ms. Dorstad.
5.12 is the City of Grand Forks Park District Consolidation Consultant Study. This was referred from City Council on August 5th.
All right, thank you. President Sandy, any comments?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all,
I'd like to tell the folks from the Park District who are here how much I appreciate that they show up, because they do always show up in meetings like this. And when the city needs something from the Parks Department, they raise their hand. They are both individually and as a group great stewards for our community, and they really do a great job. Nothing about my thought process has anything to do with my opinion on whether the Park District does a good job or not. I think the Park District does a great job. I think there are a whole bunch of people that work for the Park District that I wish worked for the city or worked for me personally, because they're outstanding people that again raise their hand when called to duty. My discussion related to the study is more about ultimately at our previous council meeting when we were discussing the budget. We were looking for ways to save the community money, and I don't know. I have no idea. I can guess. I can surmise. I imagine that if the Park District became a department within the city of Grand Forks, that through attrition, we could save the taxpayers money. I would even hope, I'd venture a guess, that not only could we save the taxpayers money, we could potentially free up additional resources that can help with more of the programs that the Park District wants. They want more funding for baseball, and they want more funding for whatever, pickleball courts. My thought was, if we take a look at the and study it, and we can determine if there's an opportunity there, perhaps even, so I believe Mr. Gosted briefed everyone on how that change would need to be made. The city of Grand Forks can't say we're going to absorb the Park District. We don't have that authority, and I would never presume that I should make that motion or anyone on this dais should make that motion. I would think, though, that if you look at doing the study, there are two outcomes. One is the study can come back and say, hey, we're not going to save any money, or even maybe it's just a little bit of money and it's probably not worth the effort. And then we continue on as status quo. Option B is we take a hard look at it and say, you know what, if the Park District, inclusive of everyone that's sitting over there, became a department within the city, and through attrition, we could save millions of dollars for the taxpayers over the long run. Maybe someone in our community would raise their hand and say, hey, potentially we should have a petition. Or maybe the park board themselves would say, hey, maybe they're onto something and maybe we should dissolve. I don't know. I don't know what that outcome would be. What I do know is we don't know what the answer to that is unless we actually have somebody that's independent take a look at it and tell us, you know, what the options are. I think Mr. Bina asked some questions, and they're very good questions. I appreciate that Tony would, again, a guy that shows up for our community and for the kids and the youth in our community. So I appreciate that he would ask the questions. My thoughts on these questions are who would fund those projects. I think the same people that are funding them now would continue to fund them, because the same people will be working for the Parks Department. Everybody will be in their same offices. Everybody would still be doing the same things that they're doing today. Who would provide these opportunities? I think the same people that are providing opportunities yesterday will continue to provide opportunities in the future. Who would manage those facilities? That's a great question. Both the Park District and the City of Grand Forks are in the business of managing athletic facilities. I don't see any reason why any of the current Park District facilities wouldn't continue to be Park District facilities, but we're talking about, right now we're talking about spending $110 million building additional parks facilities. I'm assuming the Park District's going to run them, but I don't know for sure. I'm hoping we get those answers here in the near term. And then who would manage the relationship with the entities in the community? Again, the good people at the Park District that are doing it today, I see no reason why they wouldn't continue doing it in the future. I don't know. I don't know if there's a cost savings. I think we owe it to the taxpayers to look at it. That's all. But I'm one vote, and if everybody disagrees, I will have no heartburn, and I won't bring this up again. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, President Sandy. Any other comments from council?
How much would a study cost?
Mr. Phelan, do you have a rough estimate?
Or Mayor Brzezinski and Councilmember Berg, we would we've debated this, but we'd likely do a request for qualifications for a firm that could do an organizational review such as this. Generally, we kind of set a budget, a number of what it would cost. I think on order of, we'll say around 80,000, something like this would cost if we were going to do, this kind of more of a really long-term strategy with our organizations. I suspect it's going to cost something in that order. My guess is there would be an initial phase of study, and then as we learn more and more, the city council may add on additional addendums to the review and study to ascertain all the various facts.
I think we're doing a bridge study right now, which seems to be a really big and extensive study for $50,000, Mr. Phelan. So I appreciate your gas, but we're doing a major engineering project for 50 grand, so I would have a hard time believing $80,000 is a reasonable amount. Nothing personal, Mr. Phelan.
Ms. Lunsky.
First, can we get a quote for the study so we actually know how much it would cost?
Mayor Brzezinski and Councilmember Linsky, first you really need to have the city council define what we'd want studied before we can ask. We can say, what would it cost to combine these two, but we really probably need to provide some more definition for a third party to really do a deep dive into it. So part of the putting together, whether it's a request for proposals or a request for qualifications, would be for us to define what do we want them to study.
So secondly, I just want to say I'm a huge fan of the Park District. I'm a very proud Central parent, and I'm going to try not to get emotional, but I think the biggest thing is the youth right now. I think that if we could possibly save some money and help out more kids, because right now, as a Central parent, we're trying to find funds so seniors can have the pictures that everyone else has, or the socks, $10 socks. I don't know how Mr. Bina does it. It breaks my heart to see some of these kids not be able to afford what other kids can. And I just think if we could possibly save some more money and get that money back to the youth, I think it would be well worth it. Thank you.
Mr. Veen, did you have something?
Yes, I do. I'd like to add that. So what I've heard tonight so far, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the Park District, kind of its structure, its employees would stay the same. They would just work under a different structure, which would be the city, is kind of what's been alluded to so far. So basically, at least what I'm hearing is the request would be somewhat to replace the park board with the city council, because the city council would be making all of those decisions as they would elevate up fund budgets and programs and whatever as would come through. And I have a problem with that. I like the fact that the park board are specialists in their area. They run on the basis of knowing various areas within the park. It's very specialized. It's different than the rest of the city. And so I think the structure we have, which is apparent throughout the whole state, works well, and that we would be able to elect people that work in the park board, various areas of the park board, and sustain and maintain that leadership and information and knowledge to make the best decisions, which I think in the end will save us money and allow us to do more than trying to add them and have them as another department. I don't know how many departments we have right now. 13, 15?
Councilmember Veen, I think we have around 14.
About 14, and then we add another one and just have another one to our list of departments that we would oversee. So I very much can understand the rationale for saving money. I think maybe there's opportunity to still work together more, but we already do a lot together. especially as you look at Greenway and in so many other areas, and I think we have a great relationship. So I think it would be honest with you, even at 50,000, a waste of money to even go there. I don't see what's broke and what we're trying to fix.
Any further comments, Ms. Berg?
I would agree with what Mr. Veen just conveyed. I would really fear that if we were trying to cut things in the future, if we had enveloped the park board into the city, we would be cutting things that they need, and I don't want that to happen.
All right, any further comments? All right, I guess we'll be looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, President Sandy, please.
And I appreciate Mr. Veen's thoughtful comments because he's accurate. Ultimately, the decisions for the Park District would boil up to the City Council. But I don't think that's any different than, for example, I don't think there's an expert on this council other than yourself in water, but our water system's an amazingly intricate thing. And so our water department comes and talks to us and briefs them about the water issues. And generally speaking, we take their word for it because they're more educated on it than we are. And so I don't see how that's any different than the Parks Department. I don't know anything about forestry other than when they take down an elm tree, I wish they'd grind out the stump. But that's because people complain to me about it and I'm not on the park board, right? But so generally speaking, I don't know. What I do know is, and it's been alluded to it by Mr. Hillier, and he's right, every other city in our state, over 3,000, has its own park board. I would contend that just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean that's the way it should continue. And unless someone has the wherewithal to study it, nothing will ever change because the Park District will never decide to do the study themselves. So unless somebody else does it, it'll never happen across the entire state. And so for the rest of time, there will be a park board and a city council. Again, I'm one vote. I'm going to move on after. I will make the motion to do an RFP, a request for qualifications. But if it fails, I'm moving on. No big deal.
So is that a motion, President Sandy?
That is a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We got a second from Ms. Lunsky. Listen to all this talk, and hearing from the Park District, I couldn't help but make this comment, so I will. I do think they've run really efficiently. I really appreciated working with the Park District. It's kind of, humorous, but maybe perhaps the Park District should have the city study if we should fold and the Park District should be, take over the city. We could see if there's cost savings on that side too. So, are you guys proposing that, George? No, you're not. Okay. All right, that's all I had for a comment. I just couldn't help myself, I suppose.
Roll call vote, Mayor?
Sure thing. So we do have a motion and a second, which would be to, did you say RFP for that?
Request for
RFP.
qualifications,
Yep.
RFQ, sure.
All right, and we do have a second. So, Ms. Storstad, why don't you go ahead and you can put it whatever order you please.
Certainly. Weigel,
No.
Berg,
No.
Friedolfs,
No.
Veen,
No.
Lunsky,
Yes.
and Sandy.
Yes, thanks.
All right, the motion fails 2-4. I want to thank everyone for coming to speak. That is it for action items. We'll move on to 6 information items.
6.1, statement of changes in cash balances as of June 30th.
Thank you.
And 6.2 is investment portfolio summary as of July 31st.
All right, thank you. That's it for information items. Item 7, approval of minutes and bills.
Motion to approve.
Oh, yep, so 7.1 is the vendor list.
No, we got a motion to approve, even before it was listed, so that's great. And so a motion from Ms. Berg, second from Ms. Lunsky. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries
And
unanimously.
7.2 minutes from July 15th, 22nd, and August 5th.
And that would be the last council.
We are
meeting.
all caught up.
Great job to finance and team. Do we got a motion to approve as is or any changes?
As is.
Got a motion as is from Vice President Weigel, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8, citizen comments, general in nature. Any comments this evening, Ms. Sorstad or Ms. Mark?
I have two commenters, Sean Beauclair.
Mr. Beauclair, please.
Just a quick question for you. Where is the timer located at?
Right behind you.
I think there's one in the corner too. Yeah, there you
Gotcha. Thank you. My name is Sean Beauclair. I own and operate a business called TARC LLC at 325 North Washington. I'm appearing again to ask questions related to Fufeng in China that weren't answered last time or any of the emails since fall. Those two questions get related to why is the city not proactive in Chinese government land, as Mr. Sandy indicated, in city limits. Why aren't we helping move that along? And also the city leadership relating to Fufeng and officing them on the UND campus at the, what do I want to say, UND Tech and Accelerator Center. Since raising these issues, they're important to national security, right? Council members have yet to respond to a single question. I ask why. It's not a trick question, why? Right, this is important to me as it should be to many Americans. The answer is simple. I believe it's your civic responsibility, whether in public or office or not, to take the risk of China, our number one adversary, seriously. Right, our words and actions need to match. Yours match that of China, not of American. I think that's best captured by the FBI director, Christopher Wray, when he said, "The greatest long-term threat to our nation's information, intellectual property, and our economic viability is the counterintelligence and economic espionage of the threat from China." Right? Threat from China. Right? They quantify that as $200 to $600 billion a year. So on one hand, right, we're saying the FBI, who has all the information, saying it's a huge economic threat. The other is we have UND, right? UND, and you read where the National Defense series come out, Broad Perspective on National Security. They talk about all the valuable assets on UND campus. I have no reason to doubt that, and I would say they probably underestimate the value of those assets. As I said in my email, I'm willing to bet my farm, and it's not hyperbole. Let me know if anybody cares to take that the 10 Chinese nationals that you guys helped put on campus were there. Why? For hacking. For hacking, pure and simple. Nobody wants to discuss that issue from the EDC to this tech center. And my question is, why? Why is that the case? All right? We have 10 Chinese nationals, right, that came to this. Was there any background information? I understand there's passports that come with them. I would put the Chinese passport has the same truth, right, as a Ouija board relative to quantum mechanics. They lie, constantly lie. We had the FBI, right? The city had the FBI, knock on the door of a citizen July 5th for the concern, the risk they pose to the community. Yet we have 10 Chinese nationals on UND campus, and it's silence. I don't understand. So what do I know about the 10 Chinese on campus? Very little, because nobody will talk to me. I believe there's 10, right? Could be more or less. I probably came and go. What I know is 9 males, 1 female. One of the 10 was interpreter. No red flag there. We got 9 people that did not speak English, right? Chinese, Mandarin, on campus. What do you think they're there for? Right? They have a history of hacking. So why would you want to be on campus versus China? Right? Obviously, if you know anything about cybersecurity, there's advantage there. We had numerous people such as you, Mayor, at least one confirmed visit. I mean, shouldn't there have been a red flag? Did they have a red hotel insignia on their shirts? Right, is that what you're looking for? Again, my time is wrapping up here, but I believe, right, I've asked, is there a national security investigation going on here with one or more federal agencies? Right? If there is, I hope that you engage as Americans should, right, and fully cooperate with that. It's a law, you're required of that. Not like last time we had 5 of the 7 council members and the mayor choose to pass on national security. That's the ultimate disgrace to anybody who served in the military, is to have elected public officials not take China national security risks seriously. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berclair.
Denny Denault.
Mr. Denault.
Howdy, folks, council. Thanks for letting me speak. As we all know, 2 weeks ago, there was like a little bogus report. Somebody called the Channel 11. And of course, it was totally active. I mean, totally bogus with what actually happened. But anyway, that's water under the bridge. 2 weeks ago when I spoke, Tuesday night, one of the so-called residents staying next door, he packed up 2 backpacks and he was waiting for a ride Tuesday night and he never came back. And it's turning into like a homeless upstairs. So I don't know what inspections has come out of this ordeal and this issue. But at nighttime, they got a hanging blanket up there. And so they don't want the cops to see their faces when they're up there sleeping and resting. And people, a lot of homeless people, they try to, if there isn't any room in that one bedroom to sleep on the couch, they sleep all over in the neighborhood. So it's getting kind of ridiculous. It's getting pretty old, so I sure hope inspections is doing their job. And along with last Tuesday at approximately 10 a.m., inspections went up there, along with our so-called quote, public health department, which is strictly a matter of opinion, because she's very, very biased and discriminative against me. And if they don't come up with something, that's evidence and a red flag right there that they're paid off. So anyway, as usual, I'm still getting mild threats from the renters coming and going upstairs. I shouldn't say renters, I should say the homeless, but in that one bedroom. So, but I ain't gonna move. I ain't gonna move not unless I find a place to move to. And I am not gonna let the quote, the brothers next door in the printing shop get their way in that 2-story mouse cage. So, but it's been, after I spoke 2 weeks ago, it's amazing. It's been really quiet lately. So, if I didn't come up here and speak, the activity, the illegal drug activity would still be, pretty wild, out of hand, out of control. So, and the PD and the Sheriff's Department and the Drug Task Force is doing a pretty good job monitoring that area. And so, and if anybody's got any questions, I'm talking about the taxpayers of Grand Forks, North Dakota, when they walk into that business. It's pretty quiet right now, but from last year and before, if they didn't know what that smell was, they should definitely call up the cops so they can find out what they were breathing, sniffing in when they walked into that business. Because I could smell it 50 to 75 feet away. And I talked to a lot of customers that went into that business because they asked me, hey, what's that smell? I said, they were doing cooking. They were cooking drugs upstairs. So anyway, it's going to catch up with them. And that place, that 2-story mouse cage should be bulldozed with all the drugs. So, because there was a place in Thompson, and this gal, she got shut down immediately in Thompson. So why doesn't this place get shut down? All right, thanks, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Denault.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Lundmark. Item 9, city administrator comments. Any comments this evening, Mr.
Nothing
Phelan?
further, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Item 10, mayor and council member comments. We'll start, we do not have Ms. Osowski, I believe, so we'll be Ms. Berg.
Yes, we had a presentation a couple weeks ago regarding the aquatic center and the current schematics and what may and may not go into that. And I guess I'm a little confused as to that process, and I'd like to hear more because I'm not sure who actually is deciding on what is going in, and I would like to know and understand a bit more.
Yeah, I think that's great. Mr. Phelan, maybe you can add to that. I mean, ultimately, the city council will be making all those decisions. I think they're trying to line up what those decisions are and what the route is. Is there anything you want to add, Mr. Phelan?
Yeah, Mayor Buczynski and Councilmember Burke. So right now, we're in schematic design. I would say they're just rounding up that schematic design process, and so I think that will be getting out here in August, and they'll get it out to the various folks that are working on it just to do some final edits. And then we anticipate that would be back to City Council in September for your update and review. And then ultimately, we're targeting a date in October where the City Council would approve the project moving forward. And right now, the project includes the aquatic center component, it includes a turf component, and it includes a pickleball component, along with various support to all three of those uses. And so that's what we anticipate bringing back. The other thing that we anticipate coming back with is some various options that we may or may not be able to afford. And then along with that schematic design, importantly, we're working with our construction manager on the estimate itself. So not only will you see a concept with maybe some addendums that we can move forward with, but importantly, you'll have finer tuned budget estimates that we're going to consider as part of moving forward. Mayor Buczynski, the other two things we're working on with Mr. Gosted is a park district agreement to operate and maintain that facility. We anticipate bringing back in that similar time frame a UND agreement to use their facilities. That would be the Pollard, the softball complex, and the Memorial Village track and turf. So we would bring that back for your reviews, just so that we don't want to be redundant in trying to use as many of the facilities that we have currently as possible. So those would be all the things that would come back for the city council decision. And I think we're targeting likely the first meeting in October that you would final approve, and that would allow us to move forward with final design and likely bidding the project sometime next spring for construction.
And then I had a chance to re-review the presentation that had been sent to us with the finances attached, or the proposed costs and revenue. And I became a little concerned with it. Like, one thing I really wanted is it to be affordable for people. And right now it looks to be like to go swimming. It would be similar to as to the cost to go to a movie in town. And I don't know if that's quite what we need for our city and our citizens. So I just wanted to express some concern. And I also question who is going to be determining those final costs for users in the end.
Mayor Buczynski and Councilmember Burke, I think it'll be defined in the operation agreement, and presumably right now it would be the Park District. But certainly they led the pro forma that you did see with the revenues over expenses, and did provide some assumptions, whether it's for individual users or user groups or what have you. And so those would be reviewed with you as part of that, September, October timeframe, reviewing that. And certainly, even those fees are going to be subsidized by taxpayers, and because it'd be hard not only to build the facility from the private, but also to operate it. And so I think those will be discussions that we'll have and that you'll engage in with the Park District. We have talked, the mayor and I have spoken with the Park District, and we know there's about a $300,000 deficit right now that's being proposed. And so anything that we do to reduce the revenue stream will add on to the deficit. But most of the things we do are either user or property tax based, and so we couldn't do any of the things we were doing without those. So those would be in the discussion about what's affordable, and I know that there's some groups here too, what's affordable for the baseball club and the football club, but it's also what's affordable for the users. Those will be engagements that we'll have with you. And then we'll also look at comparable facilities throughout North Dakota. So you can kind of see what our users charge on area facilities, what our users being charged, so that we can make sure it's affordable. I think the positive with the Park District and their foundation is they do provide scholarships. And I would assume they'd want to provide scholarships for those that are in sports clubs and also for individuals. So hopefully we can have a more robust discussion at that point in time.
Thank you for the information. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Berg. Ms. Linsky.
Just want to remind everyone that the street fair is this weekend. The Grand Forks 10K is also this weekend.
You're looking at me, I'm not running 10K. All right.
So it's going to be a busy weekend in Grand Forks, so I invite everyone to get out and visit the street fair.
Thank you. I will be there for part of it, not the 10K part. Mr. Friedels.
Nothing, thank you.
All right, Mr. Veen.
Yeah, I'd like to do a little follow-up with what Ms. Berg talked a little bit about. I know the project is moving well, and Todd, you've been acting as that probably owner's rep to keep everything moving and the like. I think the issue that I have is, and one that we'll all have to wrestle with, is making sure that the buildings entitle the right program as we look at the programming, which would be the needs and the usages of the building, how that aligns with the capital financing that's available for it, and then, of course, how that aligns with operations and have that structure so that we know what we're getting into and we can keep everything moving in that direction. I like what Todd said about some of the agreements that we're trying to do with the Park District and UND. But probably the question that comes to my mind is it's kind of difficult to just have simple spot meetings with the council to make decisions as we would move forward. That strategic leadership that Todd is probably trying to do along with his owner's rep, I think we should have more discussion a little bit about those at the council level. And I wonder if that isn't a topic for the committee of the whole to talk about what that structure should look like. I'm a little maybe biased because I go back to when we built the Alaris Center, and the council was involved at that time with a committee that had the oversight of that. And not that I'm proposing it, we're in a different time, but I think it's worthy of discussion to find out and make sure that we, with the taxpayers voting for this, that we're delivering what the taxpayers wanted. And I believe we have accountability to make sure that that's happening, and that we would have some level of discussion to assure that. And it has nothing against what everybody is doing today. I know people are working hard. I was able to be a witness and participate in a meeting. I saw how everybody was collaborating on that. But I do think that we might be missing a piece with that leadership. So just my thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Veen. Vice President Weigel.
No, thank you, Mayor.
President Sandy.
Thank you, Mayor. One thing related to the Park District, again, I'm a little bit disappointed that people didn't see the need to try to study if we can save taxpayers money, but I made a promise, so I'm moving on. So I appreciate everybody's input on that. Todd, if we're currently doing schematic design, who's doing schematic design on the building?
It's a team led by JLG as the lead architect that's leading that design process for us. And right now, as you know, we've engaged the construction manager. So I think we're near the time where they've got enough definition on the schematic design to hand that to the construction manager to start doing more refined budget estimates on the construction part of the project.
Who consulted in the design? Who did we consult with?
We've hired JLG as the architect of record.
But how would they know what to do? Who told them that I want a track, that I want a 40, 50-yard swimming pool? Who gave them the info for which to design something?
Yep.
Well, I think the user, we can start with the Park District, could probably answer that. This has been a process for almost 2 years now with the user groups and the community involved, along with BRS and the surveys that went out. So it's been almost a 2-year process to get to where we were. And I know the city council's been briefed half a dozen times on the direction, and certainly had approved that multiple times, I believe.
Yep. I'm just I just want to make sure that the right people are in the room. I think Mr. Veen's right. Ultimately, we're going to have to vote to approve whatever it is what we're going to build. I feel like maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm not taking enough leadership role, reaching out, saying, hey, what's going on? But I feel like I don't know what's going on. And so I think Mr. Veen's right. I think it would be great if we could bring this to the committee of the whole for council discussion to try to talk about and make sure that we're all on the same page, right? I think people already know that I have heartburn about the swimming pool. I think if we collectively say we want to build a swimming pool, knowing that we're going to lose millions of dollars on the swimming pool, okay, I'm okay with that. But I think we need to have that discussion. I think we should be metering those buildings separately so that we actually know the operational expense for each facility. Because how do we know what to charge people, even if we're going to lose money? We should at least say, we're going to lose $750,000 this year on the pool, and we know that because we're going to charge X amount of dollars. Without knowing what the operational costs are for the facility, how do we make those decisions? I think that's important. And ultimately, I know that because I've been told the largest revenue stream for the entire building is from swimming lessons. And okay, but people should know we're building a competitive 50-yard swimming pool to teach 4-year-olds how to swim. To me, that doesn't make any sense. But if I'm wrong, if my mental picture about this is way off, I'd love to be educated. That's why I think rather than me throwing darts and bombs, I'd rather have it come to a committee meeting so that we can talk about it and actually I can be educated on what we're trying to accomplish. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, President Sandy. I mean, sounds like a great conversation to have with the Park District. And perhaps that meeting, I think the administration is more than happy to have council members involved in the process. I don't think it's been anything that's been hidden. They've been invited many times, and getting people to show up is a challenge sometimes, and projects have to still move forward when people don't show up. So I think we can continue, and I think it'd be great. Everybody wants more input. Ultimately, the council makes the final call on this project. This was voted for by the citizens. As we looked at it, the turf actually loses more money than anything else there. So separately metering them and charging more for turf or anything else is going to be a challenge because the users have a certain amount that they can pay for. Similar to the Alaris Center, we've got to try to have affordable events that are there so people can use it. And that's a challenge because things are expensive. And we can certainly not do anything and hope everything works out, or we can keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward. So certainly, Todd, why don't you do the best you can to get JLG out and have the whole group around and figure out how we can, invite everyone to every single meeting and hope that more people will show up.
Mayor Buczynski, I will do that. Just so you all understanding, we show up here every Monday. We are pressing forward on what we think the city council would want in a situation like that. So it should go without saying that we intend to show up here on a Monday evening with a project that you've provided direction and guidance along with the citizens of Grand Forks. We've been here a few times. I think we're coming down to in September and October with more definition. And so that's always in the front of our mind. We don't really want to show up here on a Monday evening and get scolded that we haven't delivered on what you wanted. So I think we've been pretty good at that, and we intend to do that on this project too.
Thank you. I think it's a balance of we want the exact amount of information so we can make decisions. Don't come to us if we don't have enough, and don't come to us if there's too much, because then it's too far along. So it's finding that balance, and I think you've done about as good of a job as you can on that. I guess that leaves myself. I don't have too much today. Just want to thank everybody for being here today in the comments related to the Park District. Quite a group that showed up today, so thank you for that. Thank you for the continued work that you do. With that, I don't know how we're going to adjourn without Ms. Osowski here, but we'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. Berg and Ms. Lunsky seconds that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.